Good day everyone, my name is Jaina Pantaleon and today we are exploring about SMA or Spinal Muscular Atrophy. And to put it simply, SMA is a progressive genetic disorder that attacks the motor neurons in the central nervous system. So some of you are familiar in the central nervous system, right? Okay, it involves the spinal cord and as well as the brain of human. So these are the nerve cells responsible for voluntary muscle movement. So when these neurons die, it leads to irreversible muscle wasting or atrophy. Historically, it has been the leading genetic cause of infant mortality, which is why understanding this is so critical. Okay, without further ado, let's proceed with the signs or the symptoms of SMA. So, how does SMA manifest? So, clinically, we see a range of symptoms. Aside from chronic fatigue and persistent dry cough, the most telling signs are developmental delays, such as for childs being unable to sit or walk at the expected age. Like, for example, you are your child is expected to walk at this kind of age, for example like a 1 year old or 2 years old maybe, and then however they cannot still walk yet because they might have some they might maybe or they maybe have some this kind of um, sickness, which is the SMA. So aside from that, we also observe physical complications like scoliosis, which is a curvature of the spine and swelling caused by the lack of muscle contraction. So if you see yourself having scoliosis rather, um, you should see a doctor to further, observe your health. Okay, now let us proceed to the diagnosis or the diagnostics of genetic test of SMA rather. Okay, so first we have here the genetic testing. So genetic testing is our gold standard. So by analyzing a blood sample, we look specifically for mutations or deletions in the SMN1 and SMN2 genes. So when we say SMN1 and SMN2 genes, these are two identical located on chromosome 5 that produce a protein or survival motor neuron protein. So necessary for the survival of motor neurons, which control muscle movement. Okay? If those results are unclear, specialists may move to method 2, which involves imaging, biopsies, or electromyography, or what we call the EMG, to rule out other neurological conditions. Now let us proceed to the most exciting development in SMA treatment, which is the gene therapy process. So we used a delivery system first, specifically as a viral vector, to carry functional SMN1 gene into the patient's body. Okay, that's the first step. So the process, all of this, just to summarize, involves screening the patient, preparing the functional gene in a lab culture, and then reinfusing it. This essentially reprograms the body to produce the proteins necessary for neuron survival. Alright? So without further ado, let's proceed now to the conclusion. To wrap up the SMA, I have listed some 3 pillars of how we do manage the SMA or what we call the spinal muscular atrophy. So first, we do need to understand the genetic basis, which is the SMN1 deficiency, alright? And next, for the second one, we have to prioritize early newborn screening to catch symptoms before they progress or before the SMA progress. Okay, so if you see your child has some developmental delays, then I think you should see a doctor or a specialist. Next, we have to leverage the transformative potential of gene therapy. So those are the 3 pillars of how we do manage SMA. So we are moving from a period of merely understanding this disease to a landscape where we can actively modify its outcome. Alright, so I think that's all for my presentation today. I hope you learned something about this, and that's all. Thank you for listening.